In today's Microdose news, we're going to discuss which one is actually more effective for mental health issues, microdosing or macrodosing. Yes, it's actually in the news now, and there's been a study, and it seems like it's been concluded one is better than the other. And we're going to reveal that today. Thanks for being here. I'm Dr. Dave. This is Microdose U.
Enter the world of magic mushrooms with Microdose U.
Hey there, how are you? Welcome back. Dr. Dave, Microdose U. I really appreciate you being here. I've got a great show for you today. As I've said, on Mondays, we're going to be trying to do some mushrooms in the news, like what's going on in the actual news in the U.S. or all over the world in the world of magic mushrooms. If there's a news event like I did last week, we'll talk about it. So today, actually, there's an article that just came out a few days ago. Actually, it was a post by Paul Stammitz, and he concluded that one is better than the other. Is it microdosing or macrodosing? Before I give you that answer, I just want to say welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you're brand new to me, make sure you check out the show notes in every. Hold on, I'm getting a call and I can't take a call right now. Sorry. I should have turned this on do not disturb, but let me turn my phone off. Sorry about that. I won't even edit that out. This is okay. It's real life. It's real life. I get calls. I take them sometimes. I don't take them sometimes. That's just the way it is. So if you're brand new here, remember the show notes in every episode here. I've got some really important links for you. And also my website, new website, microdoseu.com. Microdose, the letter U on the end of it, microdoseu.com. Not only good links there, but blog articles, resources, ways that you can work one-on-one if you like. You don't have to do that. Everything else I do is totally free. But if you are the type of person that just wants some one-on-one help, yeah, we can do that as well. So check it all out. Just a lot of good stuff for you. I love what I'm doing. Can you tell? I have a great time every single time I turn this mic on. And you know why? Because you're on the other side of it. And I really, truly mean that from my heart. You're on the other side of this. I can visualize you right now. I'm speaking to you. So Paul Stammitz, and if you don't know who he is, if you're brand new to this whole world, he's probably one of the world's leading authorities on mushrooms, fungi, not only magic mushrooms, but all types of mushrooms. He knows a lot. And there may be people on the planet that know more than he does, but he's definitely up there. He's one of the top guys. And he definitely knows a lot about psychedelic mushrooms as well. And I think all along he's been I'm not sure about this part, but I feel that he's been of the opinion that macrodosing is more powerful and can really change your brain and help fix mental health issues. But he just came out with something on Instagram. Actually, I think it was it wasn't on his Instagram though. It was Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan interviewed Paul Stammitz just a very short time ago, and Paul revealed to Joe that there was a test, there was an experiment. Now, this part I don't really like, although it's probably necessary. I think at times we have to do it at animal testing. I don't like it. I love animals. But nevertheless, it was done and I will report it to you. So there were some mice that were used in this animal experiment, and they what they did, they tested between macrodoses and microdoses. And I guess, of course, they adjusted it for a mice. A mouse is not going to take a 3-gram dose of psilocybin. So they adjusted it down for the little teeny tiny mouse. But and I won't go through the details of the study. It was kind of like almost like a Pavlov's dog type thing. They tested it with like a ringtone, and then they shocked it. And it's so sad. I don't like it. But anyway, they came to the conclusion that microdosing magic mushrooms is more effective than macrodosing for mental health issues. How do you like that? All those people out there that for years and years and years have been saying, oh, Microdosing is bullshit. It's you have to macrodose in order to rewire your brain. And I've been saying all along, I don't believe that because I'm a microdoser and I've been doing it for 3.5 years now. It is totally rewired my brain. Totally. Now, had I taken a macrodose at some point, and I've taken larger doses, but never a like large heroic dose, but I've taken large doses for sure. But had I believed some of those people and just taken one or two macrodose, like large macrodoses, would that have fixed my mental health issues, which were primarily anxiety and depression? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, and how many people do you know? And again, this is all anecdotal right now, but how many people do you know that have taken a very large dose in their life sometime? Are they all fixed? No, they're not. And again, I've been saying this part all along. It's to me, it's just, I know this is not a scientific study, but it's just common sense to me. If psilocybin has has a way to rewire our brain, and several times per week, you're taking a low dose of psilocybin several times per week, as opposed to one time or maybe even two times with macrodosing, one or two times in your life. What do you think is going to work better? Just forgetting scientific studies, forgetting anything else except common sense. What do you think would work better? It's like saying almost, and again, this is not a good example, is it? But it just shows my point a little more. But this is not going to be a good example. Just thinking about this off the cuff. Let's say you had just chronic back pain, and somebody said, "Oh, you can take a whole lot of aspirin or a whole lot of Advil or Tylenol or anything one time or two times, and it's going to totally take care of it. Or you can take a little bit each day." Now, again, I'm not advocating a little bit of painkiller each day for back pain, because if you've had back pain, there's probably something that's causing it. And you need to look into the cause. And same thing with mental health issues. And I've always talked about that. You need to look into what the cause is. I'm a firm believer of that. But on the other hand, microdosing psilocybin will absolutely rewire your brain away from the mental health issues such as, again, anxiety, depression, PTSD, all those, and more and more. But with going back to the back pain, what do you think would be more effective? Taking a little bit of a painkiller every day, or taking a large dose one time and saying I'm cured? Well, it's common sense. And I say that the whole microdosing versus macrodosing thing is common sense also. I'm not saying that anybody that believed that one or two macrodoses is going to cure you from mental health issues. I'm not saying that they don't have any common sense. I'm not saying that, because that's been a belief for quite some time. But more recently, Paul Stammitz said that's just not the case. And I'll tell you something else. I just have to say this. I in the old days, and when I say in the old days, a couple of years ago, when we were a little bit newer and had the Facebook group going pretty wild, and I had somebody in there that was a macrodoser believer. All he believed in was macrodosing, and he would say that one dose would cure you. And I knew that wasn't true, but I felt he was a good guy, so I kept him in the group. But little did I found out, little did I know, he was undermining my group, trying to message people privately, get them to believe that he's the only one that's right, get them away from the group. And he did succeed. He stole a few people away, and that's what it is. I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. But looking back now, this guy, who was a firm believer in only macrodosing works, turned out to be, I want to say, a fraud, only because if you believe that, it does not make you a fraud. But a fraud is somebody who not only believes it, but then tries to go steal people away that believe they want to use microdosing. And it was kind of a really, really bad situation at kind of a tough time here at Microdose U. But we had to release this guy because he turned out to be really, really dangerous because he only believed what he believed and everybody else is wrong. And if you don't believe exactly what he believed, he would he would mutilate you. He would start name calling. And oh, I mean, those days are over. We got great things going. And again, the news may change at any time. Who knows? Science is always evolving. But again, I think this is also it just makes so much sense. If you're introducing a tiny bit of a psychedelic into your system every day, or not every day, but a few times a week on a long-term basis, that is going to have more of an effect, more of a positive effect on rewiring your brain than a one-time macrodose and then setting you free and then everything's fine. That's just not the case. So I hope this helps. I mean, it's helped me just realizing that, yeah, I've been right about this, even though there have been naysayers, people that went against me and said, no, you're wrong. Microdosing really doesn't do anything. You got to, but I've been sticking to my guns, not wavering, not saying, oh, you might be right. No, I'm a firm believer that this absolutely works. And again, it's my experience on my own body. I mean, I had a setback last month. I had a bad setback for a few weeks. It was horrible, but there was a definite issue that came into my life that caused it, and I identified it, worked with it, and of course continued microdosing. And we've dealt with it, and it's okay now. And I'm smiling again. And I'm not afraid to admit that, yeah, I definitely had a rough few weeks. But instead of just saying, oh, things are horrible, I worked really hard because remember, I've told you that there is side work that needs to be done. You can't, even though microdosing has now been shown to be more effective than macrodosing for mental health, you can't just microdose and do nothing else. You've got to do the side work, the journaling, even the thinking, just thinking all the time, trying to figure out what's going on. And the microdosing will allow you to think much deeper than you ever have in your entire life. I promise that. Absolutely promise that. But you have to try to do it. You can't just sit around and watch cartoons every day. You have to work on yourself and in a very deep way. But trust me on this, the microdosing will allow you to do that more than you've ever been able to do that in your whole life. At least that's what's happened to me. I feel like a totally different person. So that's the Monday. What do we call it? Well, mushroom news, microdosing, magic mushroom news. But I had a bunch of you write in with great little titles. But I don't know if I want to have like an absolute title that I'm tied into every single Monday, because then it starts to get old, like just like the the Monday microdose. That started to get a little bit old, and people just weren't as into it as they once were when it first started. So I think let's just say on Mondays, I'm going to try to share mushrooms in the news with you. Whatever could be going on, I'm going to try to share an article or a study or something that's going on, because it's fun. And I think you deserve to know this stuff. And this is a major thing with Paul Stammitz saying microdosing is more effective for mental health issues. I love it. I've been believing it for a long time. Okay, thanks so much for being with me. I'll be back with you on Wednesday. I'll be sharing a story with you from a listener, from a viewer or listener. I'll be sharing a story. It's a pretty cool story. And I think you will be able to take this story and not only relate to it, but it could help you in your life. So looking forward to it. See you on Wednesday. Love you. Talk to you soon. I'm Dr. Dave. Microdose U.